Well, hello, and welcome to the 4th season of Phoenix World Championship. We told you we'll be back shortly, and we did not go away for long. We are welcoming you from the Lausitzring, the track that hosted one of the races of the first 2 seasons back when we were with the DTM machinery. But now we are back proper with big old GT3s, ready to take on the track and, well, all its bumps really. And trust me, there will be a lot of these bumps. We are in the middle of qualifying right now. Just a few minutes left in the quali. We got 8 cars already, and I believe 1 or 2 might be joining as well. Still waiting on those times. And we do have a few car, track, and, well, driver changes. As you can see, one of those cars, Photon Burst, is back on the grid this season from being our safety car driver. And this time he is driving one of the Audis, doing a little bit of sideways maneuvering. And he's currently on pole as he ruins his current lap, being just close to Gunses right here. 1:27.9 is the time of Gunses. Well, 9 tenths slower than his teammate. The 000 is once again in an Audi, being teammates with Photon Burst and Psychedelics in the 3-car effort. Another driver change in the cars is this car, 71 of McLaren team. This time our reigning champion is driving a 71 Porsche, being a part of racing team Intel, which is a 4-car effort this time around. Not all 4 cars present today. I believe we're gonna see 2 of them. At least that's the last I heard. So we're gonna wait and see. Neon Tiger this time driving his solo effort Ferrari at number 12. Mr. Grinder is showing up in a very default Lamborghini today. So he is gonna be doing his own thing this season. And a newcomer to this league in a big old fat Nissan is Spitfire, trying to navigate this circuit right now. He is not the only Nissan on the grid in general, but looks like he's gonna be the only Nissan on track today, as we're looking at the total of 9 drivers from what I can see today. So we'll see how the last minute or so of qualifying is gonna go. So today's testing concept is gonna be of 2 races. We're gonna go over for normal qualifying, after which we are gonna be doing the 40-minute race first, and then the 20-minute race after that. So that's not gonna be the same procedure for every single race this season. It's gonna change throughout. That's one of the ideas of this season. It's gonna be somewhat of a testing effort. We are in our last 30 seconds of the session, looking at, let's see, who is gonna be closer. Mr. Grinder and Gunses both post their qualifying times. Neither are good enough to improve their position. We see Jifu, another driver, joining our grid for the final seconds of qualifying. I don't think he's gonna qualify, but it's good enough to be on the grid. Meanwhile, looking at the cars that are gonna be crossing the finish line, as we have a checkered flag. The first one gonna be Spitfire. Will he elevate from his last position of those he qualified? Yes, 129.8 and 6th position. Next one is Trampel crossing the line. Not good enough. Photon Burst abandoned his final attempt, and on the pit lane now, Neon Tiger is gonna be the next car to cross the line as McLaren team pulls up into the pit lane as well. Neon Tiger is crossing the line, and he improves to 6th place himself with 29.8, just under 200s faster. Looks like we might be looking at invalidated laps for a couple of our people as Tim crosses the line in pits. The next car crossing is gonna be, let's see, Mr. Grinder on the pit lane as well. Gunsis is gonna cross the start finish. He's gonna be the last car on track to do so. And he's gonna be third with 1:27.6. Let's see if there's gonna be some shuffling back and forth in regards to the pit lane posted times. We're gonna hear about it soon. But for now, we got our 1.5 minute countdown till the start of the first race. It's gonna be a very quick one. So looks like we won't be seeing any result updates from the race control as it's too much of a short notice. However, we'll see how that's dealt with later. In any case, the drivers are lined up. We got 40 seconds to go. We're gonna go for a formation lap. Without the safety car, so the leader will control the pace throughout the formation lap, and then we're gonna be going racing. $40 for the first race. The first race is gonna be the one with the mandatory pit stop once again, and refuel is banned in the series. The tire change is gonna be mandatory. We got green flags and we are ready to go. We got somebody already flashing the lights. If I'm to guess, it's Gunsis. Actually, no, it's Psychedelics. The green of the conveniently striped cars on our grid. As the cars are moving off the grid, we got 40 minutes plus 1 lap in this race. And looks like Photonburst is going to be controlling the start here for the race. 10 cars on the grid, 8 cars qualified, sorry, 9 cars qualified, and Jiffo is going to be joining us for the start as well from the 10th position. We're looking for 11th cars in race 2, I believe. But for now, everybody taking the grid nice and, well, not really slow, actually. The leader is just bolting it down. But it looks like with adjustment, it's gonna be car number 28 of Photon Burst who's gonna be taking the start as a leader. The Dutchman from the PRT traffic light, conveniently named. The second car in qualifying is gonna be the 71 of McLaren team, the newest member of Racing Team Intel, the 4-car effort. Today we're gonna see just 2 of them. Himself and Trampale are gonna be driving, and the third car is the teammate of our pole seater, the 000 of Gunsis, the Latvian, in his favorite third position, once again, followed by his teammate Psychedelics, car 14 in fourth. As our drivers are taking the final corners before the start-finish line, and we are getting ready to go. McLaren Tim and Photon Burst on the first line, waiting for the rest of the grid to assemble behind them, as they're awaiting the restart zone between the two lines, and away we go! Photon Burst takes the start from McLaren Team, and the entire grid follows up shortly behind. A single file apart from the last couple of rows. as they're navigating turn 1, which is the oval part, towards the front of the grid. We do have side-by-side between McLaren team and Gunses. Gunses is trying to draft along and maybe follow his teammate, but now he decides to not be way too aggressive at the start and slot in behind. Looks like everybody is safe and sound behind. Meanwhile, the cars are starting to navigate one of the more treacherous parts, and it looks like it caught up with Gunses, who falls behind his teammate and now being challenged by Trampale. Interestingly enough, now finds himself in 5th place, side by side with the Porsche of Trampale for 4th position. A little bit of wiggling here and there from everyone. Quite a difficult track to navigate on the first laps, it seems. Everybody is following single file so far, no action behind. As seems like the only victim of the track at the start. Oh, interesting. Photon Burst is on the pit lane. Photon Burst is on the pit lane on lap 1. Is he looking to do away with his mandatory stop early and then cruise for the rest of the day? Or is something wrong with the car? In either case, he is the first one in the pits right now. And looks like he's just driving through the pit lane. Did he get a penalty to clear? That is very bizarre. As Photon Burst rejoins the track behind everybody in 10th position. McLaren team assumes the lead of a race with his teammate now in 3rd. That's car 17 of Trampale. You see how bumpy this track is. It's incredibly difficult to drive if your car is loose, and if Porsche is known for anything, it's for being loose all of the time. That engine placement definitely doesn't do it any good in terms of stability. Lots of heavy equipment in the back of that Porsche, and essentially just a fuel tank up front. So especially if looks like Jiffer was off track briefly, so we go back to the Porsche, especially as the race will near completion, as this tank essentially empties and there is less and less weight up front. The car will become less and less stable. It looks like our only Nissan of the race is off the road and rejoins in 9th place, as Photon now overtakes 2 people. And now chasing down Viperian in 8th place after his trip down the pit lane. Mr. Grinder, our only Lamborghini, is getting sparky across the road. Looks like the dampers on that car and the entire car is being lowered down significantly for that track. However, everybody is oh, and there goes Trampale! There goes 17, and there goes Mr. Grinder as well. We got 2 complimentary spins happening along the road, and looks like Mr. Grinder resets all the way to pit road. I'm not sure what happened there, but definitely a heavy impact for the Lamborghini. Trampale, looks like that Porsche we were talking about, the unstable car, ended up being unstable over the curbs. Photon Burst overtakes Viperian for 5th place. So the trip to the pit lane early for the Dutchman did not end up detrimental too much, as he is already through half of the grid and catching up to Neon Tiger in 4th position. So the Dutchman making progress just fine. So definitely the tale of the skittish Porsche is true. Well, speaking of skittish Porsche, there's one in the lead right now, 127.6 for McLaren Tim, as he's cruising away from essentially everybody by 2 seconds a lap. So our reigning champion, once again with Photon Burst being a little bit too far back, is building his gap in the first 5 minutes of the race, ensuring there is no competition whenever the pit cycle is complete. Meanwhile, further back, there's 17, the Porsche of Trampale against Viperian. Side by side they go, though. The Mercedes is on the preferred line, so Trampale is not gonna challenge him into the turn, just slots in behind a little bit too early in the race to be trying something spectacular, let's just say. So for now, it's just line of stern and maybe find a better overtaking spot, like a gigantic oval at the end of the lap. So looks like through all of this, Photon Burst already closed like the 3-second gap to Neon Tiger. So the Dutchman in the Audi is definitely having a good run despite an early penalty. However, he finds himself about 15 seconds back of the leader. That is the concern at the moment. I'm sure Photon would be unhappy with his current position. He would want to improve that as race progresses, hopefully all the way to first, but since the sprint race is gonna happen after that, at least get a decent position for the start of the sprint race to challenge McLaren Team, as he now navigates his way past Neon Tiger and all the way to fourth. Next target, 7 seconds up the road, is his teammate Gunsis, who is chasing his teammate Psychedelics. So the PRT traffic light now occupied second through fourth, in a bit of a reverse order, green, then orange, then red, and now we see the overtake Trempale puts around Viperian, so he sat behind for about a lap, now finds a gap and tries to go around, but now, again, that 17 feels very, very unsettled. As Viperian pulls up alongside, he'll be on the outside for the next turn, so I don't think a move is gonna happen. But if anything, we can now see that that car is definitely not a happy camper, as we're trying to find an onboard for you. Here is the Porsche onboard. Let's stay a little bit with the car 17, the Racing Team Intel Porsche of Trempel, and see how unsettled that car really is. Definitely quite a few problems for one of the drivers who's more aggressive at the wheel of their car, not in the wheel-to-wheel competition, but rather just driving the car, which sometimes ends up in an unsettled car. With this, plus a track that is not very kind, looks like it's a difficult equation for him. Navigates through turn 1, through the oval. Next one will be hard braking into the infield. You can see, you can feel the bumps. Meanwhile, we'll have to turn away as there has been a swap for position. Gunsis has been quite a bit back, but now looks like he finds himself ahead of his teammate Psychedelics, assumes the second position in this trio of Audis, and now will be the one chasing McLaren Team, who by now manages to find himself with a 7.5 second gap ahead of everyone. So interestingly enough, that is that might not be a fight for the lead anymore, let's just say. Even if somebody could challenge McLaren Team here, looks like the challenge is not gonna hold up with all the shuffling and Photon's penalty. So 128.3 for Gunsis. I believe that matches with Team this lap. But in any case, that would not be enough to, well, catch him. They're just matching times, and looks like this duo of Gunsis and Psychedelics is the closest one on track right now. 2 Audis, and well, the team driver owner Psychedelics is being faithful to the brand, remains with Audi for yet another season and forms another team around it. This time getting quite a few fast drivers. Photon Burst skipped the Season 3 in favor of being the pace car driver. Okay, we'll continue later, and looks like Trempel is in the pits now. So another issue for the 17 Porsche. That car is not having the greatest of days. Unfortunately, troubles continue for him, as We'll see if either him or Mr. Grinder rejoin the race. We heard a word that Mr. Grinder had a collision with the wall, which ended up damaging the engine, so now they're carrying out repairs. If they rejoin the race soon enough, they might be able to get in towards the 75% minimum requirement for the classification. So just get some laps in, and as I say that, Mr. Grinder rejoins the race, so reverse curse of a commentator, as Mr. Grinder tries to get his car. Let's see, it's not going very fast. Looks like he was just waiting to not get in the way of traffic. But his car is going good enough. Now he just needs to keep up the pace and try to get classified to get at least some points. We switch back to the Audi. Yes, so Photon Burst, who is now chasing down Psychedelics, was our pace car driver for the last year, but a significantly faster driver than a lot of the field, and sideways goes Psychedelics. If there were style points I could award, quite a few would go to the car number 14 right now. Unfortunately, I'm all out of those, so he just receives empty plaudits of your commentator. Oh, Viperian looks like he just tapped the wall. I'm not sure, there was a lot of grass there. I'm not sure if there was wall contact. Let's see if there is damage. Looks like the front is damaged on that Mercedes. So definitely there was an impact of some sorts as he continues in 7th place. Definitely a difficult first race for a lot of drivers involved. Quite a few issues, but we continue with the Audis. Yes, Photon Burst was a part of the championship winning team, the Timberwolves Racing with McLaren team, who were dominating for 2 years in a row, with team claiming both drivers' championships and Timberwolves claiming both teams' championship in these years. And now he's back in an Audi in an effort to put up some strong resistance against our defending champion. And the defending champion is gonna have Intel around him, with Trampel, who now rejoins the track. He spent just one lap trying to get his car going again, with his teammate still in the lead, so he is safe for the requirements for now. Let's see for how long it holds, and if he's able to avoid further issues. But yes, speaking of Intel, it's gonna be a 4-car effort this year. Obviously, our reigning champion, car 71, that we see on our screens right now, is gonna be the star driver of the team. And speaking of which, our star driver is the first one to jump onto the pit road for what I assume would be our scheduled pit stop. The mandatory stop, all tires, no fuel. And looks like he elects to do it just before the halfway point. I wonder if tires are starting to go a little bit, or if that's just purely to get into the thick of things, just get done with it. Essentially be done with the change and proceed till the end of the race without any worries. He has quite a bit of a gap that he can afford to waste here. But yeah, our defending driver picking the Porsche for this season. Interesting to see him in a 4-car team. Top 2 will be able to score points, so that's one of the ways to produce points day in and day out. Even if 2 drivers like today participate, they both score points. If 4 drivers participate, only 2 of your best drivers score points. So that ensures a higher yield in the end. Let's see how they manage that. Obviously Trampel, as mentioned earlier, is one of his teammates. Saltcedar, who was Trampel's teammate last time around, is another teammate of McLaren team. And the Canadian Cap, car number 180, is the 4th driver of this team. Unfortunately, the latter 2 were unable to join the first event, so hopefully we'll see them on the grid for the next race at Lausitzring after the New Year's break. And even though it's the first event of 4th season, it's gonna be the last event of the calendar year, as the Phoenix Racing Club, after these 2 races, goes on vacation. Careful, the Nissan is been a little bit sideways behind McLaren team, but there are no blue flags, because it is for position as McLaren team dives inside and secures a spot. Now he's in 5th place. There is a pit stop between them, but it's for position, so Spitfire had no obligation to make any way for the leader, but the leader made some way for himself and finds himself in 5th place. Obviously lost a little bit of time, but he had a gap, and let's see if he can maintain the gap after the pit stops, as the trio of PRT Traffic Light occupy the top 3 spots. So lads, if you wanted a team photo, that might be the opportunity. For now, Photon Burst catching up to Psychedelics in 2nd place. Half a second between them. Let's see if Car 14 makes it easy for his teammate to get through and try fighting for the highest podium spots, or if they decide to settle in fighting amongst themselves. We're gonna wait and see. For now, Car 14 in the lead of this bunch, and he actually just looks like he makes way, exits a little bit wide, and Photon goes through. Car 28 is now released to chase down Gunses in 1st place. So the tactical team swap, obviously the team driver manager, driver owner, Psychedelics, Car 14, is, well, fully allowed to make himself get out of the way, let's just say. Going further down the order, that's Car 12, the Neon Tiger, is the best non-PRT Traffic Light driver currently on the grid. Seemed to have avoided most of the troubles in his Ferrari, and proceeds in 4th place, which looks to be 5th after the pit stop cycle is done, but just shows that keeping your nose clean can get you far. And now he is further than half the grid and is staring at Mr. Grider, who's now 3 laps behind him. Yeah, so that's definitely a good effort from the American so far. Let's see if he's able to keep that up for the remaining half the race. Ferrari is one of the unrulier cars, I'll say, over the curbs. That sleek design is definitely not the one that's gonna be stable over bumps, with the engine placement as well. At least compared to, see the segue? The Mercedes, with the big hunk of metal up front that it calls an engine. And that engine is definitely producing a lot of power and a lot of front downforce for the driver of the car 05, Viperian, the only Kiwi on the grid today. He's trying to navigate with a little bit of front damage we saw from the earlier collision with the wall, or maybe there was something else before the wall. Unfortunately, we were unable to see that. But either way, he's currently in 7th place, and his teammate once again is going to be car number 38 of Nemedis when he joins the championship. So it looks like that's the only team that was completely unchanged this off-season. The PRT Black is back in its entirety. Black is back, you know. I will let myself out for that horrible joke. Scrolling further through, or I guess previously as missed, the new addition to Phoenix World Championship, the Nissan of Spitfire GTR. The Russian joins the first race of his PWC career in the car that is probably the most confident through the curbs, as about 17 tons of engine is keeping it glued to the road. Has some rear damage, at some point picked up a collision, but trucking along for now. It's not going to be the only Nissan GTR of the grid. We have one more of Wolf 7, who is not in the race either, so we're looking definitely at more drivers involved throughout the season as it goes along, but for now, looks like just a couple, as we see Car 14 being the first PRT Traffic Light car on the pit lane. And let's see where he rejoins in relation to McLaren team. Gonna be behind, but how far behind? And we'll be able to just judge the remaining PRT cars in relation to that, since Photon was just ahead and Gunses is further 6 seconds up the road. We're waiting for the McLaren team, and now McLaren team goes through. So it's a big gap. I'm gonna say it's a severe gap that two PIT cars will have to slot in. So I don't think team's lead is in any jeopardy as we speak, as Psychedelics rejoins the track. Good. Let's see, is that 18 seconds back? Wow, that's actually a lot more than I expected. So looks like team just increased his gap. The next car is going to be Viperian on pit road, and we're looking at Gunsis, who is going to be the leading car. We saw somebody... Okay, we saw somebody going through, which means that Gunsis is going to be taking the chicane and jumping into the pits. He probably saw the gap and thought that there might not be any reason to hold himself back any longer, as we are just passing halfway point of the race. Let's see when Photon, the last of the remaining PIT traffic light cars on track, goes into pits. Another car, that's Neon Tiger behind, joins the pit lane party. So McLaren team will be passing them both, it seems, and we're gonna wait and see how far ahead or behind everybody's gonna be. There we see Gunsis rejoining the track right next to the Nissan, and once again that Nissan is not mandated to let you through. So Gunsis will have to make his way around Spitfire, with McLaren team now 10 seconds ahead, so he made further 2 seconds driving away after his pit stop. So Photon Burst are going to be even further back. Naturally, Neon Tiger rejoins a good few seconds behind Psychedelics, and now I believe he's behind Trempale, but, well, 1 lap ahead. And we're looking at side by side between Photon Burst and Viperian. How Viperian will be yielding a lap, I believe, to Photon. So that's another lapped car. It's gonna be the third one of the race. As Photon continues to navigate the track, McLaren team meanwhile closing up on the Lamborghini of Mr. Grinder, the walking wounded, let's just say, of this race. He'll have to navigate around that one, but it looks like at 27.4, which is the fastest lap of the race overall, there would be no problem doing just that for him. 16 minutes 55 seconds plus 1 lap left in the first race, the feature race this time around. We're doing the reverse format today, feature then sprint, so don't go anywhere after the 40 minutes plus 1 lap are up, as we're gonna see another 20 minutes of spectacular driving. It looks like Spitfire did not want to do anything wrong against the Latvian, so he just lets him through at the end of the oval and releases him to chase McLaren team, but now 12 seconds back. I'm not sure the Latvian will be able to do anything about that predicament, and looks like Photon Burst is finally on the pit lane. The final car to, well, among the leaders to join the pit lane. Looks like it's Jifu and Spitfire who are yet to pit for the mandatory stop. I'm not sure about Trempale and Grinder if they changed tires at their stops, so they might be coming in again, but it would be logical for them to slap a new compound while they're doing their repairs. For the burst pit, and now we can switch to McLaren team, who's just passing the start finish to overtake him for the lead. And now it will be interesting to see Gunsis, who was a good 5 seconds ahead. Now he is passing Photon Burst, as Photon Burst now starting to move. So we can now see the gap. Photon's line will be a little bit shorter out of the pit lane. This season the tire warmers are allowed, so no wiggling out of the pits. He'll definitely be able to just go as fast as he can here. And now the gap is not that big. It's 3.8 seconds between those two. It was 6 seconds earlier with a car between them. So if Photon manages to navigate that Nissan, or around that Nissan, as early as possible, we might have a battle for the second place on the podium. Looks like Psychedelics is quite safe in his... well, there you go. The lights are flickering and the Dutchman wants through. Once again, no blue flag. Spitfire is not required to hand anything to Photon. He can just defend and he can run his line. That would be unwise, but he can't do that. So Photon is looking, diving, and there he goes. So no resistance provided by Spitfire. Quite logically and friendly. And now Photon overtakes him for third place, and the chase for the silver starts. We have 15 minutes between Photon and, well, 15 minutes of race remaining and 4 seconds between Photon and Gunses as our two main competitors for that second podium spot. So might be as good of a time as any to switch to an onboard, listen to that Audi, and have ourselves some pure sound. The gap is certainly becoming smaller and smaller and smaller every single moment. So, oh boy, I would be not envious of Gunses right now. He had an angry Dutchman behind him who will take that silver place from him basically as soon as he can. So definitely interesting to see how that fight will progress, if there's gonna be a fight. And Guns is on pit lane again. What happened there? We have Spitfire in the pits as well. Guns is with a drive-through. What is happening there? I'm not sure. I do not have a penalty monitor to see if somebody was assessed a penalty at some point. Spitfire is our last scheduled stop, but looks like yet another PRT traffic light car manages to find himself penalized, and a drive-through penalty is assessed. Maybe there is some speeding on pit lane there. I'm not sure, but he's been in the pits for a while though. I'm not sure what that could be. Spitfire rejoins the track in 6th position, behind Neon Tiger, in front of Jifu. And looks like Gunses now finds himself behind Psychedelics again with 10 minutes to go. I'm not sure Psychedelics would want to give that space back as readily as he was doing earlier. McLaren team is gone, and the rest ahead of him, well, around him, are his teammates, so he doesn't really need to give away anything. He can just keep that position and keep fighting there. So Psychedelics and Gunses might have themselves a race towards the end of the event. Will be interesting to see, definitely. Looking at Gunses now, he's 4 seconds back. We're on board with him right now. He was definitely closer, 147 now. You can see him losing time on the straight every lap. He's about 0.3 a lap slower than his fastest lap. So the Latvian might have some issues. Oh, he's unsettled. Oh, he's almost off the road. Something is definitely not right in the Latvian's car. You can see him losing another second. We switch to Jifu, who is now going to pit road. Okay, sorry, I kind of forgot about him, that he's yet to make his stop. So yeah, after Spitfire, he was the only one, apart from the two that stayed in the pits earlier, that is yet to pit. So he'll be making his mandatory stop now. But as we come back to Gunses, I'm not sure what's happened, but he lost a lot of time. And he keeps losing time to his teammate. So that car is not feeling particularly well at the moment. Very interesting to see. Now we have Neon Tiger chasing Trampel here. A lap between them. So we'll see if Neon will be content of just sitting back and enjoying the rest of the race. Seems like he's quite settled in with a solid gap. McLaren team passes Viperian, who was kind of slow on the straight, but looks like he was just letting the leader through without trying to be a nuisance. The next car is Photon Bros behind Mr. Grinder, so a little bit of lap traffic throughout that is affecting the leaders, but the gaps are a little bit too large to matter right now, I'd say, for this. So everybody's just navigating around traffic, being calm and collected. Mr. Grinder poses no threat and no detriment to Photon Burst, who goes straight through, and still 15 seconds behind Tim. Gunses looks like he finally figured something out with his car. Now 3 seconds back of Psychedelics, and tries to mount a countback. Remember, as soon as clock hits 0, the next lap will trigger. Well, the next lap will be the final lap. So basically, as soon as the clock reaches 0, the white flag is going to be deployed for the leader. So essentially, we have about 10 minutes of racing to go, give or take. So it could be 2 full laps after the time expires if leader just crossed the line. It will all depend on the positioning of the 71 Porsche of McLaren Tim. But for now, we're still with Gunses. Let's go once again on board and see if 000 is able to handle his car efficiently. We saw him having issues here, there, and everywhere before. You see how bumpy that track is. The turn itself, turn 4, is cambered, but it also has a few bumps in there, so you kind of have to dive inside to let the turn carry you, but at the same time you can't trust the turn to not spit you out with a couple of bumps, and we saw it almost catch Gunses napping at the wheel. But now looks like the Latvian is able to handle it. Mr. Grinder is meanwhile in the pits. Might be a retirement for him, though might just be taking some new rubber to see if he can set good lap times in front of the sprint race. which is going to be happening after this one. Certainly will not hurt his race result in any case, as he is 10th and last, being 3 laps down or 4 laps down on the next car. You see that bump exit in the turn 1 as well. Definitely one of the bumpier tracks on the calendar, if not ever. Definitely not the easiest to navigate, but for now the gap, you see him trying to crash the car again. The gap established itself at about 3 seconds and not closing down. Speaking of gaps closing down, Trempel 4.4 behind Jifu. He definitely has some rapid pace here. Oh, Jifu off the road! The Ferrari is off the road, and well, it's our proper commentator's curse strikes as he loses 8th position to Trempel. We had a swap here. Now, oh, he's still having issues on the grass, trying to recover. He'll have a car coming up behind him, so need to be careful here with the overheating tires. Judging by the backspatter, it's gonna be the Nissan charging through. I believe it is. There it is. We'll move a little bit further up the road as there is a bit of a logjam. There's actually Trempel being caught by Neon Tiger, and there's Mr. Grider who rejoined right next to them. So this trio, everybody is on a different lap in this trio. So just need to be careful, and there's Trempel off the road again. That Porsche 17 is still as unruly as ever, as Trempel finds himself off the road, recovers quickly. Meanwhile, there is somewhat of a battle between Jifu and Spitfire, although they are on different laps. I believe Jifu is going to be a lap back, so he yields on a straight to the mighty Nissan, or doesn't yield. I don't know what they're doing. Still side by side. That's probably suboptimal at such a late stage of the race, but looks like they're just gonna keep it going for fun. Side by side between 6th and 9th place. Spitfire and Jifu with the lap between them. Looks like Spitfire tries to pull out of it, but still claims the corner and goes through. A little bit of a weird situation. But with 2 minutes to go, Guns is catching up to Psychedelics, 1.3 between them. So if he gets an extra lap courtesy of McLaren team, that might be an interesting battle. So it looks like he's closing in about 1 second a lap with 2 minutes to go plus 1 lap. That's about all we have until the end. It's definitely going to be the closest battle, looking at the gaps. A lot of different range of competition throughout, but looks like Psychedelics and Gunsis is going to be the battle. And remember, Gunsis could have been ahead if he kept the car under control after his drive-through. Looks like his car is as unruly as ever. Interesting to see what he says after the race, after weekend. We'll try to chat with him probably after the sprint race. But his car might rival the 17 Porsche of Trempel, to be completely honest with you. It's definitely not a car that would be very comfortable to drive, let's just say. But it's still fast, and he still catches up to his teammate, who at this point is definitely not keen on giving any positions away. 45 seconds left as I'm looking for the leader. He is currently navigating turns 3 and 4. So it looks like he is not going to cross the start-finish line again until the clock expires. So we are getting 2 laps to go at this point for this duo. So Gunsis needs to close the gap and overtake within 2 laps. It's definitely not an easy task, but it is doable. Gunsis has caught up rapidly before. It's just the fact that he needs the best lap he can produce 2 times in a row, and the best lap he could produce is 28 flat, with Psychedelic's best lap at 128.6, so it would not be enough, but, well, it would certainly help, let's just say. The clock officially expires as McLaren team is about to cross the start-finish line here. And we officially enter the final lap of the race for the leaders. And it's gonna be 1 lap to go for this duo as well. Fortenbrecht in a little bit of a race all by himself in the 2nd spot, after Gunses had a drive-through and removed himself from that competition. As 3rd and 4th now entering the final infield complex of the track. They're gonna take a left onto the oval and start the final lap of race. The gap is 1.5. Gunses did not gain any time on Psychedelics. It looks like he might be just too far away to have himself an attack unless something happens. Meanwhile, 71, our race leader and our reigning champion McLaren team, catching up to Jiffa by now. Looking for maybe a pass at the end, but maybe just stay back and enjoy the win. He's on his final lap. And the checkered flag is currently being prepared for the American once again. As he navigates the final couple of turns, that very familiar left exit onto the oval. And he crosses the finish line in a moment. Let's see if Jiffa just ends the race, or if he wants one more lap. Looks like he elects for one more lap, as 71 crosses the line and wins first race of Season 4. The champion is still victorious. 2nd place goes to the Dutchman, who served his drive-through on the first lap of race and claimed back to the 2nd spot. Meanwhile, these two still fighting, 1 second between them. Psychedelics is in front of Gunses, 1.1, but they have just 2 corners left. So as long as Psychedelics keeps it on the road, it looks like he is gonna be the final driver on the podium today, and looks like Gunses is unable to keep up and finishes just shy of podium in 4th. Great drive by car 14. And a couple of penalties knocked 2 drivers into the pit lane, an extra time. But Gunses, it hurt more. In 5th position finishes a Neon Tiger. A very quiet but solid race from him. Just behind the entirety of PRT Traffic Flag and the champion. Solid P5 in the end. Our newcomer, Spitfire, also a quiet race for him. A little bit of an adventure throughout, but overall finishes 6th. Viperian finished a lap down in 7th, Trampel finishes 8th, Chifu is in the pits in 9th, and Mr. Grinder finishes 10th and last after early damage to their engine. So race 1 winner, very shockingly, surprisingly, unexpectedly, McLaren team of Racing Team Intel. So we're gonna have a little bit of a break here as everybody settles down and prepares for the next race. Well, don't go anywhere. Obviously have 20 more minutes of action for you. And this time there's not gonna be a pit stop, just a lot of cars just sending it as hard as they can for 20 minutes, trying to get 40 points for the win. And this time Fortenbrecht is gonna be once again behind Tim, so definitely gonna be interesting. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
Looking for lost hopes and dreams. I feel you breathing in your heartbeat. Spinning tires, set alight, fire on the street. These concrete skies make pitch black night. We carve our names with our headlights. Open your eyes and you
stopped. So my wheels like, fuck you. I'm not hurting. I hit the wall, but I hit one of the bones because I lost. Heavy damage, heavy damage. Don't try to kill yourself. GT3, get a GT3. These fucking idiots. At least I think something bad happened to somebody in front of us. Welcome to Daytona. Checker flag. Fantastic job, everyone.
Turn out the lights, we can turn 'em out, 'cause turn out the lights, we can burn 'em out, 'cause I know what's waiting, I know what it's made of, what it's made of. Come and take me closer to the edge now. If you think you can't love me, you can show me how to have a breakdown. If you're gonna touch me, I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm not afraid of the dark. You can show me how to have a breakdown. If you're gonna touch me.
And welcome back to Phoenix World Championship as we await the cars to get away from the grid for the sprint race. 20 minutes of straight action, no pit stops, no nothing. We're gonna get lights and we're gonna get one warm-up lap before we get going. McLaren team takes us from the pole position, and as we wait we can see the results of the previous race on your screen. The fastest lap goes to Fodenburst, and everyone else is as follows. On that note, we are getting ready for the race number 2 at Lausitzring. Definitely gonna be an interesting one. And we can see once again the information about this race. The first out of 5 for this championship. And well, a little bit of oval part with a couple of infields mixed in with that. So definitely not your casual daytime stroll, that track is, let's just say. Looks like we have 11th car ready to greet us today on the track. It's gonna be Hellwinter, the Ferrari, the teammate of Jifu, who's lagging behind the field a little bit. So something might have happened with them on the warm-up lap, but McLaren team is slowing down quite substantially, waiting for everyone to catch up, and waiting for Hellwinter to also catch up. Looks like a little bit of problem for the Portuguese driver here on the start, but I believe without the safety car we're not doing another warm-up lap, and we're gonna get going anyway, so he'll need to catch up on his own. Side by side for the leaders, they're awaiting. We're gonna see two lines which denote the start of the restart zone. You see those, the first line and the start-finish line. There it is, and there goes the leader. McLaren team goes, Fortenberg's behind him. Looks like Gunses had a great start and overtook Psychedelics behind as well. As we are streaming towards the oval and looking for moves, looks like side by side between the Ferrari and the Nissan. Nissan with a good start, but a little bit sluggish on the oval. Brakes later, tries to send it on Psychedelics, and Psychedelics goes off the track in an attempt to avoid, and now he has to fall all the way back. The German rejoins behind Viperian, so that was a send and a half. Psychedelics now loses spots to a few more drivers, and he's sent to the back of the grid with that. Fight with Jiffo, a big send from the Nissan, who finds himself in 4th. Psychedelics now fights against Jiffo in the infield, looking to make a move and get his way back into 9th position. Slots into 10th for now. Meanwhile, two PRT traffic light cars, line of stern, followed by, looks like an issue for Viperian. Looks like he is able to get going, so looks like just a spin over the bumps. And into the pit lane, looks like, goes Spitfire. So something must have happened with him at the start. Could have been one of the fueling issues, a couple of drivers reported. So not sure what happened there, but after his move early on, looks like he is on pit road. He rejoins straight back, tried to warm up his tires a little bit while he's there. Looks like Trampel is off the road. That's huge collision. That's car 17. Looks like it's dead in the water. He's trying to do something with his car, but looks like that car is not gonna move anywhere. He does reset, so that car is broken beyond repair. At the moment, let's see if he takes repairs or if he's done with this race. But that was a big collision with something for Trampel. So car 17, another unlucky race here. Looks like line of stone for McLaren team, Fortenberg and Gunses for the moment. And we proceed with Fortenberg, the first-person view as the driver sees the road, as he sees the leader, as he sees McLaren team trying to get away from him. Meanwhile, Jiffo had a moment. That's the final corners of infield, trying to rotate his car around. Ferrari, one of the unrulier cars of the grid, as he rejoins in 9th position behind Spitfire. We proceed looking at our first trio. Psychedelics, even with the issue earlier, finds himself all the way in 6th due to the unfortunate events of the others. We are already almost a quarter through the race. When we say sprint, we're not kidding. It's definitely a sprint race. 1, 2, and 3 all going together. 4, 5, and 6 also going together. So we have a couple of battle packs forming throughout the grid. This one is definitely the interesting one, with a Porsche running away from a couple of Audis. Looks like on the infield, Porsche might be a little bit looser, as you see both of the cars behind him catching up just a tiny little bit. But on the straight, he pushes it right back. "15 minutes and a bit, plus 1 lap remaining in this race. It's gonna be a quick and a short one. McLaren team still in the lead, but with the gap being just 1 second, it can just change at any moment. And we look at car 14, that's Psychedelics, who's chasing his own battle pack. He has the only Lamborghini of the grid of Mr. Grinder and a Neon Tiger in front of him. There you see all three of them. McLaren team posts yet another fastest lap at 1:27.8. 27.9 from both Photon and Gunses. So he's not gaining much, but he is gaining 10th by 10th throughout. So it's not even good enough for the rest of the grid to match him. They need to be faster. Speaking of faster, Gunses! Gunses off the track and parked. And now he resets to pit, so that car is done. It's a disaster for traffic light. It's a second car of theirs to the back of the field. While Psychedelics recovers, that looks like Gunses is out of contention. Oh, that's a bummer for the 000. Definitely not how he imagined his weekend to go, and that's a big blow for him in terms of championship overall. Let's see if his car can be recovered fast enough to get into the 75%. For the sprint race, it has to be twice as fast as in the feature. So definitely going to be interesting. Meanwhile, Photon Burst is hanging on the tail of McLaren Tim still, but still a second between them. You can see that red car further up the road, and this battle pack is following them. Looks like Hellwinter is once again struggling to find his bearings around the track. That's going to be turn number 4, one of the most treacherous turns of the track, so no surprises there. Photon Burst and McLaren Tim swapped fastest laps again. Tim with 27.689 and Photon replied with 27.605. So still close to each other, still battling and still trading fast laps. These two are definitely gonna be interesting. Hellwinter with another issue, that time in turn 5, so 2 leaders are gonna be catching up to him relatively shortly. Hopefully it doesn't affect the battle. Meanwhile, speaking of the battles, that's car number 12. Neon Tiger being put under pressure by Mr. Grinder. So definitely a few gaps have closed on this lap as drivers are starting to get a little bit more aggressive throughout, looking for an opportunities to get past. You can't hang back for a long time in this race. There's a move you gotta make it now, and both Photon and Grinder realize that, especially for the Grinder, since he has another car behind him, and well, he cannot afford that. If Psychedelics catches up, he might be putting in a move relatively soon. But meanwhile, we have to look for the leaders, as Photon is very much in the draft territory here on the long straight. Issue for Jifu, another Ferrari finds himself off the road. That's exit of turn 4 once again. And 2 leaders behind each other, still half a second, not exactly close enough. But Photon Burst on the last lap posts 1:27.2. 4/10 faster than Tim has gotten around in this race. That's a bloody brilliant lap, if I say so myself. So Photon is definitely out for blood. And speaking of blood, there's a lot of it behind. As we look at Neon Tiger, Grinder, and Psychedelics, all 3 of the drivers are now within a second of each other, and definitely looking to make something happen. Grinder still on the tail of Neon, and looking inside, but pulling out last moment. That might compromise him against the Audi behind. Looks like another issue for Hellwinter as leaders go through. Oh, there's the tactical light flash, and Hellwinter gets off the track for the next battle pack. Lets them ahead. McLaren team responds well. Now the gap is back to 1 second, so good reply from the American for the fastest lap of Photon. Interesting to see their laps. 27.6. His best lap for Tim, 27.9 for Photon. So after the fast lap, he struggled a little bit in comparison on the next lap. Now this trio crosses the start-finish line, and look at Grinder. He is all over Neon Tiger, and that will be interesting for Neon, as this is definitely draft territory. But Lamborghini struggles on the oval, and now car 14 is behind and looking for a move. And the Audi is up the inside. 2 green cars, Audi versus Lamborghini. looking for a little bit of a side draft, and deep lunge from Psychedelics, and they're side by side. He manages to leave the outside open for the Lamborghini, and Grinder takes it. The happiest person in this whole battle is gotta be Neon Tiger, who is in podium position and has 2 angry Germans battling behind him. It's definitely an advantage for the American in third. Speaking of Americans, one is currently defending the lead, and Photon once again is on his rear bumper. Less than a second, and they're catching up to... that's Jiffo, and further up the road that's gonna be Trampel's couple of lapped cars. Both Gunst and Trampel, by the way, back on track, both 1 and 2 laps down respectively. Sorry, not 1 and 2. My apologies. They're looking 3 and... Yeah, so leader completed 9, 5, 4, so they are 4 and 5 laps down respectively. With the 18 laps left, they will be just... They will be really close to that limit, let's just say. Hellwinter is just letting 2 leaders through. Sorry, that's a spin! That's a spin for McLaren team, and he is off the road, and he loses the lead. He is not a robot after all. Looks like McLaren team is a human who is capable of making human mistakes. Who would have thought? And now he finds himself in second spot. Meanwhile, Mr. Grind and Psychedelics continuing their battle behind Neon Tiger. It looks like once again attempted crossover, which was unsuccessful, and Psych is still in 5th. And definitely both of them catching up to Neon Tiger, who is slow and defending hard against the Grinders, so something must have happened at one of the turns, and now this whole group is bunched up together with 8.5 minutes to go. And definitely slower. Neon Tiger definitely slower than Grinder, and Grinder trying to dive in, and he's a little bit unsettled. That Lamborghini is a handful to drive. I wonder what is happening with Neon. He's a little bit slower throughout, and struggling. Maybe that Ferrari is ruining tires faster than he expected, trying to defend. He lost a couple of seconds to McLaren team there. Let's see if he's gonna be on pace come the straightaway. So if we go to his in-car, he lost a second this lap, as we can see on the Delta. A new lap starts, and he sees a lot of green behind him. That is Lamborghini, but as we saw, the Lamborghini struggles. Lamborghini struggles massively in dirty air, and that's another overlap Psychedelics is able to establish. Definitely not set up for dirty air at all. Once again, Psychedelics is on the inside, but Lamborghini is able to outbrake him just enough. Once again, Psychedelics is able to get a huge... Oh, Trampel looks off the road again. Hellwinter seems to be off the road again. Both of them let a couple of cars through. So not a great day for either of them. So yeah, looks like Psychedelics might just want to let off the throttle a little bit in turn 1. Just let the gap widen and jump in it later. As Trampel letting everyone a lap ahead of him through. So if Grinder sits back, the best chance for Psychedelics is to sit behind and get alongside after they completed turn 1 and when they're on the straight. Because the speed difference is enormous between the two. It looks like Psychedelics had to basically check up both times to avoid the rear of that Lamborghini. Now you see he's a little bit further back this time. So if once again Grinder struggles with his turn 1 entry, that might be a position lost. Grinder goes wider this time. And looks like this time he's not struggling as much, so he picked a wider line. He decided to lose a little bit on the oval, but get out of the dirty air, and that helps. But look at the speed difference. And looks like Psychedelics almost put his car on the wall there. Oh, there's another car off, and there's another car off, and there's chaos behind as Jifu and Neon Tiger collide. Jifu is a lap back, and now there is a little bit of chaos as he tries to let the cars through. Once again, blue flag is informational in this series. He gets off the road to let everyone through. So the blue flag is informational, but however, he cannot forcefully, well, defend his position. So we'll see if Neon Tiger argues that in protest. Oh, that's so close. That is so close by Mr. Grinder. He could smell that exhaust fume coming from the 12 car. 5 minutes to go. That pack is enormous. We have Neon Tiger, Mr. Grinder, Psychedelics, and we have also it looks like Jiffo and Trampel in that pack. And we have Viperion and Spitfire close together, 2 seconds between them as well. So we might have ourselves a few battles. Once again, wider on the entry, but joins back in the dirty air. And let's see that gap close on the oval. Once again, look at the overlap. Oh. Psychedelics tries it once again down the inside, and once again, having a wider exit, Grinder is just able to keep him back. Psychedelics tries the same thing, but the same thing once again doesn't work. Great defense by car number 20 with 63 on his car, because of course it is. Meanwhile, the gap between leaders stays about the same 6-7 seconds, so they are matching times, which does not help either of the two, honestly. 4 minutes to go left in this race, with this battle pack continuing to battle for the podium, and this driver is currently leading the pack. A solo effort without a team. Car number 12, the American Neon Tiger, is the one just trying to hang on. I wonder if Psychedelics passes Grinder, he should have an easier time passing Neon, but with good defense by Grinder, that seems to be not a concern for our podium positioned, I'll say, Neon. This time, Psychedelics picks a wider line. Oh, there's a contact with the wall! There's another contact with the wall! And there seems to be some damage on that car! Mr. Grinder hits the wall. It looks like the car alignment is all kinds of whack, and he parks his car, and it seems like he is done for the day. Just exits too wide and makes an error. That's a hard contact with the concrete barrier on the outside. That's the third car that had an issue. Let's see if they can fix it before Guns and Trampel arrive. That's gonna be a battle out of the repair bay, I guess. But now, this car, number 14, Psychedelics, is on the tail of Neon Tiger. And that is now interesting, since where Grinder was unable to do anything, Psychedelics might just be strong enough. 1:27.4 for McLaren team, his fastest lap of the race. Still not close enough to Photon's best lap. So these two continue trading fast laps as this bunch continues trading blows. Third and fourth. 2 minutes to go. The leaders are in turn 4, so they will be able to cross the line once more. So it looks like 3 laps to go when everybody crosses the line here. Psychedelics 2/10s back. He's definitely gaining. The Audi seems to be a lot faster on the straight than all the opponents around him. It looks like Mr. Grinder is now listed as officially retired. Looks like he would not be able to fix the car before the end of a race. Let's see if anybody chasing him will be able to, well, lapped cars chasing him will be able to get past him. We have 4 lapped cars. We have Jifu a lap down, Hellwinter and Gunsis 3 laps down, and Trampel 5 laps down at the moment. So Jifu gets around, the rest will have to wait and see when the checkered flag waves. But for now, Mr. Grinder even finishing, well, he will not be classified as he did not finish on track, but let's see what happens here in the standings though. third and fourth, chasing each other. Now there's Trempel behind them. Would be unwise for Trempel to try and overtake anyone. He's way too many laps down. He'll just probably sit there and watch the battle. McLaren Tim with another fast lap. Now he's 5 seconds back, so he gained about 2 seconds. Looking at the track map, they both had Hellwinter in between them. Sorry, that's not Hellwinter, is it? No, that's Hellwinter in between them, who had another issue, so it might have affected them. But the gap is 4.7, so definitely team turned on the jet boosts. It won't help as they have 2 laps to go now. I guess he'll need to be much faster than this. Looks like Spitfire, meanwhile, losing a little bit of time to Viperian. And we are going on board with the very green interior of the Audi of Psychedelics. Currently finds himself in 4th, fighting for that podium spot. The double podium for the German would be a spectacular result. But there is one Ferrari in between him and that. Photon Burst crosses the start-finish line. 4 seconds between him and Tim. So definitely getting closer. But possibly not close enough. 27.5 for McLaren Team. Another fast lap from him. But here, half a second. And there's gonna be quite a bit of tow. You see Neon Tiger exiting wider, and he's able to pull away just a tiny bit. I wonder if that helps him on the straight. They have a red Ferrari, a lapped Ferrari in front of him. That's gonna be Hellwinter. A little bit of draft stake between the two. Both can attempt to do that. A wider entry for the Audi. Hoping for a faster exit. That might be the difference in the speed, but still half a second between them. That's not close enough. Leader is on the final lap. Both of them are on the final lap, so that's gonna be just one opportunity to get something done. That's Hellwinter off the road once again. Looks like he's just struggling to get the car across to the start-finish line. And we have a word from Grinder that he does in fact hate walls. And that wall out of turn 1 certainly caught him off guard and off the contention for this race. Gunsis passes him in the standings as well. I don't think Trampel will have time to do so. But as we switch back to our leaders, the gap is 3 seconds, but not close enough. As Photon Burst cruises to the finish line and wins race number 2 from McLaren Team in the 2nd spot. One mistake from Tim, just one spin, that's all that took for him to lose the race. Extremely unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? Gunsis has time to overtake Hellwinter. He now proceeds to 8th place. And there's Neon Tiger and Psychedelics into the last corner. Psychedelics just too far away, and Neon Tiger with a flawless race once again. Might not be the fastest, but certainly one of the most consistent drivers on the grid. Finishing 3rd and claiming the podium for himself. Beautiful effort from one of the Ferraris. Psychedelics finishes in 4th. Viperian ends up in 5th. The debut weekend for Spitfire and nets him 2 6th spots. Definitely not a bad result at all for our rookie. Jifu is gonna be crossing the line 1 lap down in 7th. Gunsis, after his early misadventure, in 8th. Hellwinter in 9th. Mr. Grider did not finish, and Trempel finishes in 10th place. We'll see about the qualification window as the clock ticks down and the race is officially over. And here's our race winner. Just mowing a little bit of grass, patching a little bit of tarmac here. Car number 28 of Photon Burst. Beautiful drive for the Dutchman. Beautiful result. And he is gonna be fighting for the championship overall. That is for sure. Great performance, and let's see if we can grab his attention here. He is currently muting himself, so he might not be the one to talk to. So while he's preparing, let's see if we can grab another car on the mic. And that's the person who lost the win in that race. Tim, do you hear us?
Yeah, hey Jordan.
Hello, hello. So, just one mistake, that's all that took for you to lose that win. Was it just a driving error, or was there... I remember there was a lapped car as well. Was that any factor in this?
No, it's just a driving error.
So overall, just a great weekend for you. Seemingly in control of the second race and dominating performance in the first race. You did change the car between the seasons, as we know that Neon Tiger's doing donuts on the pit lane, so Stuart might have a talking to about that. But yeah, you did change the cars and now driving a Porsche. What is the change between last season in Lamborghini and this season in Porsche for you?
Yeah, well, the new car's shit. No two ways about it. I mean, I don't know. It seems pretty fast, but this track and this car just don't go well together. Yeah, probably could have spent more time preparing as well. But, I mean, it is just a frustrating car to try to learn, so I don't know. It's, can I be bothered to do more work on it? That remains to be seen, so...
So with that, how do you feel about your chances in the championship overall? It looks like you traded blows with Photon this weekend. How about the overall?
I mean, remains to be seen how much I can be bothered. I mean, yeah, I mean, seems pretty good. We'll see what happens when the bop happens and that kind of stuff. But yeah, a lot of work to do if I wanted to make a push for it.
Alright, well, congratulations with your first win of the season, and good luck in the rest of the championship.
Yep, thanks, Georgian, for the show.
Alright, now we're gonna hopefully hear from the driver who probably had the sweatiest race suit of race 2. Neon, do you hear us?
Yes, you are correct.
So, try to describe as vividly as possible your experience in race 2 with two angry Germans chasing you throughout.
Make them fight each other and then try and build a gap and then drive away repeatedly again and again.
So it looks like you were a little bit slower on the straights than the other two, but able to regain that small gap in the infield. Is that something in a setup that you did?
Yes. Something's up with the Ferrari. I don't know what it is, but it feels like when it's on lower wing, the back end snaps. It snaps around a lot, so I had to jack the wing up to get it to be stable in some form where it was able to be drivable and not spinning out in every corner. So I was at a definite disadvantage on the straights, especially on the oval portion where the wing came into play. But I think I was really able to kind of hammer through oval turn 1 there and pull away a little bit, so that somewhat negated the speed differential.
And it's definitely interesting to see different cars interact in that way. But one more thing we did, well, not with the different cars, lap traffic towards the end of a race. We weren't quite able to see what happened there exactly due to a little bit of a mix of lap traffic and a battle. How did it look from your end?
Oh, it was a simple accident. I think Hellwinter spun and then Jifu slowed down, but we were still kind of coming through there. And I tried to get out of the way, but I just kind of caught him, and it pretty much hit my front end and ripped it half off. So I was driving those last 8 minutes or so with the car wanting to push a lot more and trying to just defend as best I could.
Well, you certainly managed, so congratulations with the podium and good luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Alright, now that he's able to turn his mic on, let's hear from the Race 2 winner. And
Winter?
Yeah,
It's the winter season after all.
it is. And the most creative drive of the day for Race 1, that's Photon. Hello.
Hello.
So, well, the first question is, what the hell happened in Race 1?
I mean, it's just a classic clutch slip mistake where you think you have your clutch on, but it's like 2% of being fully on, and I creeped forward like a couple centimeters and it just instantly got flagged with a drive-through, so that was fun.
So even
it made for a fun race.
Yeah, even with the drive-through, you managed to see the whole field essentially.
Yep.
And then the chase with Tim. It seems like throughout the weekend you had the faster one-lap pace with Tim. And, well, on the track it was equal. So was your drive, was your car a little bit less consistent than him overall? Or did it just seem that way?
I think it seemed that way. Like, when I was chasing him, I made a couple of small mistakes here and there, just because I wasn't really used to running this car with, like, behind other cars. I did feel like my car was a little bit more stable over the bumps, so that's what where I kept consistently gaining a little bit. But Tim was just driving really well. I did push him into a couple of small mistakes, and I was like, okay, my chance will come, so let's just hang back. And essentially that happened when we had to avoid some back markers, and it was like at exactly the wrong time for Tim. And that's what got me past. I think I would have had a shot otherwise, like later in the race. But yeah, I mean, it unfolded that way, and I just kept the pressure on, basically.
Yeah, definitely an interesting weekend. You guys traded blows. We're still unsure of the final standings with the qualifying, so we're not sure who leads the championship since a couple of non-invalidated times in regards to the pit entry, but we'll sort it out in due time. But it looks like, whatever it is, you guys are 1 point apart, and with Team not exactly being happy with this car at the moment. How does it look for you for the entire championship? Are you hopeful to bring yourself and your new team towards the top?
Well, you know, it's been really fun to dive into this new team. There seems to be a bit more two-way interaction, I guess. I've been in a lot of teams where, I mean, I don't really want to say it, but I was kind of pulling the cart. And there seems to be a bit more, you know, questions and like discussion. So that's really fun. The car felt really nice. It was very soft for this weekend. I think we'll have to switch the suspension up a lot for the other races to be as competitive. So that'll take some work. But yeah, I'm pretty confident, and I'm really look forward to seeing how the rivalry continues here.
It's definitely gonna be entertaining. And well, the last question, you sort of missed last season. You didn't miss it physically, but you were in charge of our safety car, or base car. How did it feel to get back? Was it a little bit of rust, or were you instantly on pace and happy to be back behind the wheel of an actual race car?
That's a really difficult question, because the safety car drives so much differently. I guess it drives relatively similarly to what I've set it up as now, like really soft, really lazy. This car is obviously much better on the brakes, and the safety car, you just kind of have to drift to get it to turn, and that's definitely not the case with this one. But yeah, it was surprisingly easy to get back up to speed, and yeah, have like a good pace. I mean, obviously it's hard to judge because you don't really know how everybody else is doing. But yeah, I mean, I didn't practice that much for this race. Not more than I normally would, and apparently I'm like pretty near to the top, or maybe even at it. So yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Well, congratulations with the race win, and good luck with the rest of the championship. See you at Lausitzring, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Alright, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Next time we're gonna be tuning in from, well, as I said before, Lausitzring, another interesting track we, I believe, never tried before. So definitely gonna be an interesting experience for our drivers. And, well, that race is gonna already happen in 2022 after the New Year. So we are expected to proceed with the PWC on January 16, but before that we have the ACC Winter, the Assetto Corsa Competizione Winter Championship, round 2 on January 9th at Bathurst. So I hope to see you there, and hope to see you in our next race. If you fancy joining the championship, the door is always open. So with that, happy holidays, Christmas, New Year, whatever you're celebrating, and hope to see you all in 2022. It's been an incredibly fun year, and with that, my name was Ilya Babansky, and this is goodbye.